The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Mic on.
Hello traders and welcome to November's non-farm employment change webinar live session today. Before we get started, I just want to take a few just 1 minute to make sure you guys can hear me well. So for those who actually are inside the room, all the attendees, can you please just write in the question box there if you can hear me? Just a yes will do, please. Okay. Can a few of you just confirm that you can hear me, please? Okay, thank you. I need a few more confirmations before we get started. So as soon as okay, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Yudi. Thank you, Marianne. All right, perfect. So let's kick it off. Now, today what we're gonna do is obviously just like every month, we're going to analyze together the technicals behind the charts on FX majors. Let's say for instance some metals, precious metals, indices, and let's say energy such as the WTI. So once again, welcome to November's non-farm employment change live session, live webinar today. So this is a fundamental event, and for those of you who are not really aware of what type of event this is, I will briefly explain it. We're basically expecting some data to come out from the United States, and this data reflects the number of jobs in the government sector basically for how many people are actually employed in the United States, excluding the farming industry. Just like I said, the government sector. Okay, so let's say for instance the analysts are forecasting about 194,000 more jobs to be added. Previous release was result was 134,000, so we're expecting, let's say for instance the analysts are expecting somewhat of a better result and a huge difference between, let's say for instance, the previous, a higher amount, of course, of a higher figure, which could be bullish for the US dollar, obviously. Right? Now, besides that, the unemployment rate is actually expected to remain flat, right? Which means that, let's say, for instance, if it stays flat, this could be a mixed data report or something like that, right? But slightly bullish. However, if a decrease would actually occur in this figure, this can be even more bullish. Okay. Now, if the unemployment rate rises, then this could be slightly bearish towards, let's say, for instance. So I would expect, let's say, for instance, from my own personal opinion, I would be expecting somewhat of a mixed data towards, let's say, for instance, something that could allow the US dollar to possibly retract a bit, because it took a hit recently, and together what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on the charts, and before, during, and after this release, we're going to analyze these swings together. Okay, so without any further ado, let's say for instance, let's continue. We're actually expecting the average hourly earnings, and there's a decrease. Let's say the forecast right here, 0.2% versus the 0.3 the previous. So as I said, somewhat of a mixed data, right? We'll be curious to see the data. Now this is a fundamental event, so according to how this data actually appears here, the release itself, then the market will have an impact, let's say, right? So But the technicals, let's say for instance, this is a fundamental event, so we did somewhat talk about the expectations. Now it's time to go to the technical side, right? Because let's say for instance, recently I've been preparing a let's say for instance a report, right? In which I've been let me just okay, there we go. Okay, in which I've been explaining some Elliott wave technical analysis in a bigger report, which is actually I think is going to be released today for the Orbex for Orbex traders. You are actually invited to contact your account manager to send you the download link. It's a free ebook. Let's say it's a big report, right? Which contains the dollar index, the gold, silver, crude oil, euro, US dollar to pound, US dollar, USD, yen, DAX, and US 30, Dow Jones, and the VIX, the volatility index, right? So with that report, which was actually finalized by myself, and I'm the author, by the way. It was actually finalized as with the end of October, right? And here's basically, for instance, on October 30th, I was actually explaining this possible, let's say, for instance, bearish outcome for the US dollar. This is a daily chart, right? So you guys can actually see the way I'm labeling the dollar index right here is in an attempt in a bullish move, of course, with a 5-wave sequence right here, followed by a complex structure, which could be an expanded flat, even if it's, let's say for instance, if this would be a somewhat of a running flat like this, right? We'll basically see. But the way it started, it's quite technically speaking, in my own personal opinion, could be quite bearish, this move. And once again, I like to emphasize the fact that everything that I'm about to say is not implied to induce or influence you in any way, and everything that I'm saying is basically to be treated as simple market commentary and not as an investment advice. So thank you for your understanding. Now let's actually continue with that out of the way. Now, the release itself is going to occur in about 11 minutes, right? So we do have a bit more time I do have enough time to walk you guys through some daily charts before we go on an intraday basis. So we'll do the daily charts first, just like a brief explanation, and then we'll jump on the 2-hour charts, right? So dollar index, let's say for instance, the way I'm labeling this is in a possible intermediate B turquoise right here in an expanded flat, right? This with the B wave, the minor B red, in a possible triple three WXYXZ right here in somewhat of a rising wedge, right? Which could actually have a bearish outcome, but honestly, the move already occurred. So together with this NFP and this NFP, this release will be very important because it can actually decide. It will be decisive. Let's say, for instance, most likely for the next possible trends, right? So moving on to gold here, right? Right here on this report. Not only there, basically, you guys know me. The ones that are actually following me, you do know my views right there. I recently did, let's say, some videos, some posts, etc. So continuously giving you guys a follow up on the analysis, and it was actually on track. So the way I'm labeling gold right here on the daily chart is basically an A B, and with a possible ending diagonal, right? Ending diagonal sequence right here. So we'll see how this actually unfolds. Until now, it's actually going nicely on the upside, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to jump on later on the smaller time frames, right, to actually see. So silver daily chart, same typical structure rates, let's say for instance with a corrective piece right there, and expecting somewhat of a more push on the upside, right? Now, let's say crude oil, however, right, it's slightly, I mean, it could be quite dangerous, this move, because as you guys can actually see, it's breaking the channel, right? So the way I'm labeling this one is in a leading diagonal in intermediate A green, and this is a trick. This could be a running flat right here, right? Because of this structure right there, which can actually pass as one specific structure like this, right? And could be rising from there. However, if it's not a running flat, if it is an expanding flat, this can actually go all the way to 50 or 61.8 as well in a rampage, like in this very in this bearish impulse, which it is right now a bearish impulse. And together, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the we're going to zoom in on the 4-hour chart or etc. Right? Euro. Euro is Euro has bounced previously when I actually on August 13 when I spotted this fractal pattern, right? It bounced and then it retracted. While it was actually ready, let's say for instance, to retract, I was on top of it and said that it could actually start a little bit to drop. It dropped more than I expected. However, that doesn't mean that the structure and the destiny could have changed drastically, right? I actually posted this in which I said that it could actually begin rising, and then when structure actually aligned, posted this final one, right? This is on October 30th, right? So you guys know my views. Those of you who are actually following me, that you guys know what I would expect, right? By the way, in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, there's a question box there, right? Just write your questions there in the go to webinar, right? Let's say for those of you who are inside the actual room attending live, right? For those of you who are watching this on Facebook live or YouTube live, because this video is streamed live, you are more than welcome to join the live session, the webinar in progress, because at the end, basically, I'm gonna stay a little bit longer with only with the ones who are actually inside the room. So you do have a link there to join. It's free, right? So just join, because I'm gonna be talking about more important things than just this NFP a bit later on, as I said, towards the ending of this webinar. Okay, so once let's just continue. We don't have enough time. Let's say we only have 6 minutes left until the actual release. So for the euro, this thing can actually start that impulse that I would actually expect, right? And I've been waiting for that. Same for the pound. Let's say for instance back then on August 16 said it could actually start a bullish sequence, and right here as well. But yeah, same. Even when it was at the top, same scenario, right, as the euro, and exactly from the bottom right here on this potential rising channel, boom, on the upside. That was nice. Now the dollar yen, I'm sensing a bit something could actually occur, and let's say for instance maybe, just maybe, possibly the VIX, the volatility index, to cause some surprises once more. And yeah, I'm seeing, let's say, possible significant strength possibly coming for the yen itself, not for USD yen, but for yen, right? So the way I'm labeling this is in a leading diagonal, as you guys can actually see, leading diagonal in a rising channel, and this piece right here seems to be corrective, so it could force a breakout. Yeah. So it could be dangerous, let's say. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm seeing multiple things, especially, let's say for instance, I do want to add one more chart right here. Let me see if I can just, okay. All right. Now the USD CAD, because this release will also include some CAD data, some Canadian dollar data right there. Okay. So just want to mention that the USD CAD, the dollar CAD, is actually located as a very important. It could be at the edge of the cliff. So if somewhat, let's say for instance, if a bearish breach would actually occur, this could be quite dangerous. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on it to see actually what happens. Those of you who are actually following me from a while back, you guys actually know exactly my views right there. Yeah. Let's say what else. Euros, euro, pound, we're gonna go on them a little bit later on. Let me just continue with the daily charts, right? Okay, so euro, dollar, yen, yeah, not to mention wouldn't, let's say for instance, yeah, the DAX, the Germany 30 right here. When the VIX actually was prepared for the spike, I said that this could actually have a very big drop, and it did. Not to mention the where is it? Okay, the US 30. Okay, let me just find it first. Okay, should be here. US 30. All right, right here. Okay, this was actually explained live during two webinars. The previous non-farm payrolls October's webinar, right before the red October, right, and when the VIX actually continued the spike, and also in the revision Elliott wave webinar for the ebooks, which are basically, let's say for instance, which by the way are included in the webinar. So there are some handouts there. You guys can actually get the educational ebooks directly from the room if you're inside the room. So yeah, as I was saying, the Dow Jones actually lost about 2,900, almost 3,000 points, right? Which is kind of scary. So we'll see if this is actually a wave two, right? Or if this actually ended right there, and this could lead towards more of like, let's say, the bull market's return, right? That's the main question. But all I know is that the analysis was spot on track, and the Dow Jones and everything else actually fell, right? So let's say we have about 12 minutes to 12 minutes left to 30 p.m. Eastern European time. So yeah, we're just gonna continue now with the charts on the intraday, right? So without any further ado, let's just jump on it, right? Now, dollar index on the 2-hour chart. Obviously, as I explained, did start an actual drop right there. Okay, so this is actually becoming a little bit, let's say, interesting, because this can actually reflect a possible head and shoulders formation, which would be quite bearish in my opinion. So let's say, for instance, should this retrace on the upside from the 50 or 61.8, right? This could be either a wave one. The moves actually started in a 5-wave sequence. So in order for a reversal scenario to actually occur, a trend has to, let's say for instance, end with 5 waves, start with 5 waves, right? So it's quite promising, this drop, and we'll see if it's actually going to occur. All right. Now, once again, for the attendees actually inside the room, I will take my time later on after the Facebook Live and YouTube Live will be closed at one point, and you are more than welcome to continue the session in the actual room. Okay. So, yeah, well, the way I'm actually seeing the dollar index today could be, as I said, a bit, let's say, mixed data towards a more of a bullish outcome. However, bears are actually right there, right? So could actually go a little bit more down for a bullish divergence to actually send this in a wave two, right? And then we'll see how much and how it will actually unfold. Moving on to gold, right? Gold seems to be having a sequence of a ending diagonal in a C wave, right, and a complex structure right here. So it could basically start an impulse. I'm not saying that, but I would like to see somewhat of a corrective structure right here for a very big push. If that were to occur, as you can see from the arrows, I'm actually expecting a possible retracement, not to mention that a bearish divergence would be a nice thing to see before, right? So a confirmation for more, possible confirmation for more upside could be from a corrective pattern right there in a simple ABC. I would like to see, let's say for instance, it would be good to see a zigzag or a simple flat correction in a wave 2. So this can actually lead towards more, let's say for instance, technical facts, right? As for silver, this can actually pass as a, let's say for instance, as a triangle, right? In which case the structure will be a bit more complex in the sense that X could be right here, or either X or B, doesn't really matter, but the way it started seems to be either a C wave or a 1, so this would actually tell, as I said, if this would be a wave 2, then a simple correction would be good to see, while if this would be a B wave, then a complex structure would unfold, so this will lead towards more clearance, let's say, on a technical scale. Crude oil, right? It did drop a lot, and you guys know my views right here on this crude oil. Yeah, amazing drop, and also continuation right here, continuation right here. So the point is that I'm labeling it in a bearish impulse already, yeah, with a 1 2 an extension, 1 2 an extension, the 3 of threes, 1 2 3 4 5, so we're finished the 3 4, and then I'm seeing this as a wave 5 of 3, after which I would see we could see a bigger retracement, let's say in a wave 4, and due to the fact that wave 2 was a simple correction, this could be quite complex, a double, triple, three, even a triangle, we'll see, right? But the point is that it broke this trend line, right, ascending, let's say the channel, right, in which it was bouncing off, and let's say for instance if this were to provide a bullish divergence right here, yeah, it could send WTI towards higher grounds before a decision would be made. Now, let's say for instance, let's pretend that this could be correct. By the way, I'm on the 4-hour chart right now. I'm on the WTI, right? So according to how this could unfold, let's pretend that this would actually occur, right? In a bullish divergence. This move will tell much more, right? Because if it doesn't have the right look for an impulse, in a sense that it starts like this, bump its head and then retraces, then this could pass as a wave 4, right? If it doesn't, however, right, and it goes in a rampage like this, then a support can be granted here, and this means that that's the entire correction, the wave C, yeah, and that's it, right? So we'll basically have more details later on. Moving on, right? Let's say we have five more minutes. Euro USD, right? The most important one, the start of the day, right? And let's say you guys know my views right here, right? From the actual bottoms, not to mention all the others. So Euro USD, GBP USD, and so on. Now notice that I have a harmonic pattern right here, right? And this can actually, you guys can actually see this, right?
Mic on.
Like this, and it could lead towards more upside in a harmonic pattern scenario. So yeah, well, same like gold and silver, I would expect a retracement right here. It would be nice to see a zigzag for this push on the upside. However, this can push even more. So back to dollar index. If the data will be favorable for the dollar, then a retracement on the upside should occur, right? If the data is bad, then a continuation would occur, and this could be quite dangerous, possibly confirming an extension and a bearish impulse. Okay, so now moving on, let's say yeah, the yen, right? The yen right there is quite interesting, because this pattern seems to be corrective by nature. Okay, so let's say for instance I'm labeling this in a B wave, as you guys could have seen from the daily chart presented earlier, right? And the way this is looking, let's say for instance, even if it forces one more up, then there could be a bearish divergence right around the corner right there, at those points of interest. Okay, not to mention that you guys know my my views right there. Yeah, so back to like let's say for instance this could pass as a 5-wave sequence completed on the upside, right? So this actually retraced from the 61.8 Gondor ratio of this A, so some technical things are actually possibly aligning right there, right? It's how it reacts here at the 161.8, 61.8 right there. If it forms, let's say, for instance, somewhat of a corrective structure for more downside, right? Or if it decides to push up, and then we'll see if that occurs, right? Okay, 3 more minutes left, and USD Swiss franc actually is looking like it broke it broke that rising channel, and also I'm labeling it as a complete 5 wave sequence on the upside, which could, let's say, for even 5 waves on the downside, could react a little bit right here in a wave two, and then basically retesting this trend line. Okay. So we'll basically keep an eye on it. Now Aussie and Kiwi, Aussie dollar, Australian dollar, and New Zealand dollar, these two were in a hurry, just popped off, right? And yeah, the way I'm seeing this is in a wave 1, 2, and the extension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divergence possibly, and then right. So we'll see how this could actually occur. Now as for the New Zealand. Of course, even the Aussie, even the New Zealand, all of them, as you guys can actually see, right? Yeah. So same thing, wave one, wave two, and strongest one of all, right? The wave three. Notice the volumes are quite consistent, so bulls are in control right there. They seem to be like hit, and the DAX, right? Look at this. This could actually pass as an entire corrective piece. Very curious to see. US indices are rising right now, and not sure, but they are at very important trend lines and basically previous breakouts, right? For that descending channel right there, okay. And this can be quite serious, because as you can see, the Dow Jones right here, right, not only that it dropped, it broke out this ascending channel. Now it's trying to retest it. I'm very curious to see if it's going to be rejected or it manages to get back inside for a continuation. Now this trend line for me right now is the main focus, and according to how it reacts there, more details can be seen. Especially, I mean, same thing for the S&P right there, as you guys can actually see more upside a bit, right? Let's say for instance, and also Nasdaq. Same scenario each, right? Although Nasdaq has a slightly different structure. However, yeah, I think it's time for us to just let's say for instance go back on the forex. Let's say for instance on the economic calendar, and we should be expecting the actual results, right? In the meantime, as I said, any questions are more basically are welcome to you guys are welcome to write in the question box there, right? Okay. All right. So let's say it is 2:30 p.m. Eastern European time, right? No from payroll, no from employment change. Excellent, fantastic results, right? Unemployment rate 3.7%, so flat, slightly bullish. 250k bullish, obviously. Average hourly earnings, this is a bit of an interest rate here, 0.2, so still flat as expected, as forecast, right? Canadian dollar has lower trade balance. Unemployment rate, nice decline right here. And employment change, somewhat of a bad, let's say for instance, bad outcome, right? All right. Well, first things first. USD CAD is the main focus, right? As I said. So yeah, this looks like it's gonna hover around right here for a few days, or let's say for instance, maybe the market would actually digest these moves. But I believe that we should just go and basically analyze a bit this dollar index, right? So as the moves unfold, let's say let's pretend that this could actually retrace towards a wave 2 scenario in a 61.8 retracement for a wave 2, like something like this, yeah. All right, so something like this, but in order for this to be a wave 2, as I said, a zigzag pattern or a rising channel or something like that, something corrective would be good to see, right? Now as I went through all of them, yeah, the analysis basically, this release is actually synchronizing with the technical analysis which I've just done, right? So if gold will actually react, let's say for instance for the next trading days towards the next trading week, let's say starting off with Monday, because I believe that this Friday will be let's say for instance maybe the market participants will more likely like digest the actual results because they are a bit mixed flat towards good. So the fundamental side is actually supporting a strength for the US dollar. So we'll see after this previous drop how the market could actually unfold and react to these results, right? So let's see. As expectations, this could actually have a corrective pattern right here, and would be interesting to see if the rises actually continue for the precious metals. As for silver, some same type of let's say scenario right there, right, in a wave 2, and to see if this would actually continue on the upside, right? Remember that I mean I would most likely like to see I would like to see a corrective piece right here, not a drop like this. Okay, so that's basically what I would be looking for in the next week, right? So now that we're done with the release, let's just continue a bit. U.S. oil, crude oil right here, WTI still seems a bit bearish, right? So it looks like it could have more downside, and until the next retracement, I can't really tell. Although this, the way it's labeled right here, I believe the wave count could be actually on track, right? Moving on to the euro, yeah. As per these arrows, which were there even from the very beginning, this could actually retrace, right? Now the move on the upside actually occurred in an impulsive manner, right? So this should be corrective in a wave 2 for a better, let's say, outcome, right? As for the pound, pound is kind of the same, right? I mean, this corrective piece right here, and then started a bullish run. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if the pound dollar could actually make something like this as well for more possible upside. So patterns are barely, let's say for instance, barely starting, and some fundamental event next week could tell a bit more for a possible continuation of this analysis, right? As for the USD, the dollar yen, right? Still still hanging around. You guys can actually notice how much time is actually it actually spent like this, slowly grinding its way up, right? So it's like it's waiting for something. So price action is kind of in a vibration zone, I would say, gradually being attracted towards something, and that something could actually cost the USD yen, in my personal opinion here. So we'll see on the short time frame, of course, right? As for the USD Swiss, yeah, the Swiss right here, this can actually grind its way up in a wave 2, as I said. So everything that I said prior to this release is actually happening, right? So we'll see how the next things actually unfold. As for the Aussie, Aussie, the 2-hour chart right here is indeed showing that the Aussie could actually continue this retracement, and we're gonna see what it decides to do. And just for you to actually see quite like, let's say for instance a trick right here, you guys can actually do this. Normally in a wave 2, 61.8 golden ratio should hold. However, if it doesn't, then the review is needed. The wave count has to be reviewed there, right? DAX still hovering around there, so we'll just leave it there. As for the euro pound, you guys know, of course, my views right there on the actual structure, right? Right there, all the way, right? So right now I'm actually labeling this in a complex structure. We'll have to let's say review this a little bit, but it does look like a descending channel. Not to say that the upside is not there. I'm saying that still could actually still have more room, yeah, for the downside. As for the euro Japanese yen, this seems like it just broke out of the channel, right? So the way, just like the arrow points there, I would like to see somewhat of a bull flag right here, okay, for more possible upside confirmation. Same scenario with the pound yen, right? Broke out and seems to me like it wants to start a corrective piece right there. So we'll basically see more. I mean, we'll see it when we see it, right? Pound Swiss, same thing, same thing. Let's say even, yeah, you guys know this. Okay, where is you? Where are you? Okay, somewhere around here. Yep. Okay. On the pound Swiss, on the bullish run. This was actually posted a long time ago. Let's say August 29th. Yeah. So the structure, the way I'm labeling it is in a complex W, X, and then A. This could be a B wave for a more upside, but this is where something big is ending, could be ending, and more weakness could be ahead for, could come for the pound Swiss. Not only the pound Swiss, but the pound itself, right? USD CAD is retracing on the upside, so it might force one more before, right? Yeah. Now US 30, surprisingly, even though the non-farm employment change, the data was actually good, doesn't seem to have such a bullish reaction, right? And this is because of just what I just said about this trend line, right? Notice the vibration right there before the breach, and now it's returning to retest it, right? Not to mention that it's facing, seems to me like it's facing difficulties. Okay. So another point that I would like to make in regards to that is the VIX, the volatility index right here. Okay, and let's say in about 1 hour, US will be open, right? The US Open. So I'm very curious to see how the markets will actually react to the NFP, right? But more, I'm basically more curious to see the reactions next week after the NFP data is actually digested. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to do now. In continuation for this VIX, okay, um, not sure if this count is like this and either this has finished or this is a wave 2 and we could be in for a very big spike, or the move is I mean, this could go even higher, right? I mean, retracement, wave 2, and then we'll see, right? This is a bit scary for the indices, but we'll basically see. Now, the point is that from an Elliott wave perspective, this is exactly in the middle of a pattern, but the bears seem to be consistent right here with those volumes on the Nasdaq and also on the S&P as well, and US 30. So you see, the way it's rising, it's I don't know what to make of it right now. It does look impulsive, right? But if let's say for instance the next moves will occur in a corrective piece and then one more move to form one pattern right there, then here this trend line could be retested, right? And could be quite dangerous. So we're waiting right now to see more details, right? A decision cannot be made just like that, not now. So yeah, now let's continue with the charts right there. Okay, so as you guys can see, the dollar index is reacting as we speak on the upside, right? So the data was favorable for the US dollar as forecasted both by analysts and both and by yours truly, technically speaking, right? So yeah, I hope you actually enjoyed this session, and also that it will be helpful to you in your with your next trading decisions, right? So the market is moving, and the NFP was actually the data was released. Now moving on, let's say for instance I'm going to let's say for instance, for those of you who are watching this from Facebook Live or YouTube Live, would like to inform you that if you do want to continue, you will need to join the live session, the webinar in progress, by clicking on the provided link. Now, next I will be going more like in depth for the technical analysis, and I'm going to explain some possibilities, some possible opportunities for the hottest plates in the kitchen. So we'll see you guys there.